Tēnā koutou i ngā mana whenua o tēnei rohe. E ngā mate, haere, haere, haere ati rā. Tēnā koutou i te whānau o Auckland Unitarians. Haere mai i ngā manihiri. Haere mai koutou ki tēnei whare karakia, neki atu i te kotahi rautau e nohu tapu ana. Haere mai i ngā mema o te hui tōpa. Ko Rachel Mackintosh tōku ingoa. Ko te kai whakahaere nai nei. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa. Kua nui koutou, kua nui mātou. Greetings to the mana whenua of this place. To our dead, farewell, farewell, thrice farewell. Greetings to the Auckland Unitarian family. Welcome to our visitors and welcome to those on Zoom. Welcome to this church made sacred by Auckland Unitarians for more than 123 years. For those of you in the building, please join us after the service for morning tea. It is our sacrament of hospitality. My name is Rachel Mackintosh and I am the worship leader today. You are welcome as you are. You find us as we are. Paul, would you be able to? Thank you. Today is All Souls Day, the 2nd of November, and in pre-colonial Mexican tradition, El Día de los Muertos, when the dead and the living are reunited for a brief time. As we kindle this flame, we honour and remember those who have passed into the mystery. Their brightness lives in our vision. Their courage lives on in our commitments, and their love continues to bless the world through us. For my opening words, I have a poem by Glenn Colquhoun called The Art of Walking Upright. The trick of standing upright here is the trick of using both feet. Being born is casting on a row of stitches. It is a whenua in a plastic bag in the freezer. Bread is walking back from a dairy with milk. It is the smell inside of tea towels. Red is the sun burning at dusk. It is kōwhaiwhai curling around a rafter. Meeting is the grip inside a hand. It is the sound of wet lips. Black is the colour of the sky at night, the clothes of old women at church. White is the sun's paint, flax drying on a fence. A feast is the warm order of plates on a tablecloth. It is a fat kettle of tea squeezing between tables. Seafood is fish on a plate with lemon. It is the rattle of cockles in a pot. Singing is the wind in the trees like a choir. It is Tom Kelly crooning at 3 a.m. Laughter is the sound of hands clapping. It is a row of cans falling off a shelf. Sleep is the feel of clean sheets on skin, the soft gaps between people on floors. The sky is a lid left off a tin of biscuits. It is a man making love to a woman. The sea is an uneven playing field. It is the blue eyes of a god. Remembering is a statue in a park. It is a face carved in wood. Growing old is a pattern fading on a dress. It is collecting pipi at low tide in an apron. Dying is a casket the shape of a keyhole. It is a long walk north to the Cape. The art of walking upright here is the art of using both feet. One is for holding on, one is for letting go. Please take a moment to close your eyes and breathe. Breathe in the possibility of tomorrow. Breathe out what is done. Now I invite you, if you wish, to say the words of the covenant of this congregation. Oh. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is the sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each other and with our God. We pause at this time to hold and honour the very personal joys and concerns of this gathering. I invite those in the church to come to the front, say your name, light a candle, and briefly share your joy or concern. Or if you wish, you can just light a candle in silence. And those on Zoom, if you could put your hand up and I will call on you as I see you. Please take a moment to close your eyes and breathe. Breathe in the possibility of tomorrow, and breathe out what is done. My reading today is a poem called Quietly by Becky Hemsley. I missed you quietly today, so quietly that no one noticed. I missed you as I climbed out of bed and as I brushed my teeth. When I waited at the lights on the drive into work and as I heard the rain outside my window. I missed you as I ordered lunch and as I kicked off my shoes when I got home, as I switched off the lights and climbed into bed for the night. I missed you without tears or fanfare. But oh, how I felt it. I felt it in the morning, at lunchtime, in the evening, and at night. I felt it as I woke, as I waited, as I worked. I felt it at home, on the road, in the light, in the dark, in the rain. I felt it in every one of those moments, each one sitting heavier and heavier, as the weight of me missing you kept growing and growing. Yes, I missed you so quietly today, but I felt it so loudly. I've called my musings today In and Out of Time. On the 21st of February 2023, Archimedes' arrow of time is released to speed over 254 days to its destination, death. On the 21st of February, we received news of Clay's terminal diagnosis. And driving home from the hospital appointment, I begin sobbing. This is not a problem for my driving, actually, but Clay suggests I pull over, which I do, into the side of a car minding its own business in the next lane. The kindness of the stranger in that car, who is not angry but concerned, sets the tone of the next 254 days. The arrow speeds on, and here I draw a graph of an asymptote, half the time and half the time and half the time, yea, even unto infinity. Half of the arrow's 254-day race lands us at the 28th of June, our granddaughter Billy's 4th birthday, a day with the infinite possibility of growth and discovery. And it's a weekday, so we have the usual debrief of our days, the joys and sadnesses, the embarrassments and triumphs. This day, halfway through, is a day full of life as we hurtle on time's arrow, whizzing half the remaining 127 days to Thursday the 31st of August. We are visiting Virginia Theological Seminary, where Clay was formed as the priest he would be for the rest of his life. And we meet an extraordinary stranger, Tom, who asks us about our calling stories and learns of the doubting priest who worried that he wasn't holy enough, but nevertheless, he persisted. And that stranger sings us a new hymn. Even angels will hear the news. What once was lost is found. And so we are together, found in love, in life. And still the arrow speeds on. Half again of the remaining 64 days brings us miraculously to my birthday, 2nd of October. And Clay believes in celebrating, and he makes me a gift of a beautiful fountain pen from which, in times to come, will flow the words of my grief and my life. And the selfie taken at our dinner table this night shows a person so much older than his years as his body gets ready. And half of the remaining 32 days, as time is compressed and the arrow speeds on, finds the 18th of October, a day when we are monitoring iron and blood sugar and eating separate meals, as Clay can stomach only protein drinks now. And still he remains resolute and talks of his disappointment that he can't vacuum at the moment, but he can climb the stairs and be in bed next to me in love and life. So half of the remaining 16 days later is the 26th of October. The arrow rushes now, and I come home early from a conference in Wellington because Clay has driven himself to hospital in extreme pain, a place he has been in and out of countless times in the past 16 months. And it feels like just one more brief visit when I come to find him in the overcrowded emergency department and wonder how many nights it might be this time until he comes home again. And the arrow speeds on. And half and half and half, because if it is always half, we will never get there, and we will hold it off until infinity. Such is the miracle of an asymptote. And half of the remaining 8 days is Monday the 30th of October. By now we know that these are the last days. Nil by mouth, do not resuscitate. And a few close friends come, and I work out who needs to know, and email Clay's sister and daughters in the USA, and arrange for Waldo to come in and visit. And half of the last days is Wednesday, the 1st of November, and Sophie arrives from Australia. and Clay is not conscious any longer. But I have learned that hearing is the last sense to go before someone dies. And Sophie sings, "I want to hold your hand." And I hold his hand, and he holds mine. But half and half and half doesn't actually stop time's arrow. And on the 2nd of November 2023, 2 years ago today, Clay dies. And then time slows right down. Only for me. The time between the 2nd of November 2023 and the 2nd of November 2025 is an eternity for me. For months and even a year, all my interactions have Clay at their centre, spoken or unspoken. I know people know. And then that peters out. Death, after all, happens every day, all the time, and is unremarkable. So people get on with their lives. Except that this one particular death is remarkable to me, and it has slowed time down. This has been the most unexpected feature of grief for me. People will say they can't believe it is 2 years already, and I feel separated from them on my slow road where I can't believe it is only 2 years. And I have so much time to contemplate the nature of time. And I take scientific phrases that I don't fully understand, like the space-time continuum, and see them land in a way that makes sense to me now. When we look into a telescope at stars, we are looking billions of years into the past, time and space and place. And I take literary quotes that I don't fully understand, like, "The past is a foreign country. They do things differently there." And see them land in a way that makes sense to me now, because time is also a place. This time is a country I walk alone, as time's arrow keeps hurtling for everyone else. Or so it seems. I miss you quietly today. But it cannot be that I'm really alone. The Greeks had more than one concept of time. They had chronos, chronological time, the one we all understand, unless we start thinking about it. They also had kairos, a time that is not chronological, but is a time of possibility and great things. Kairos is a subjective, qualitative time between, a moment of indeterminate time when something special happens. This is the time that Clay and I fell in love. It is a time for spiritual awakening. It is a time that defies Archimedes' arrow. And so this time now, that is a country where I walk alone, where Clay will never know what a second Trump term looks like, is also a universal country, because we all experience grief. Someone is always dying. Then eternity happens, and that is slow. And eternity is also a concept of time. And there are more quotes to help us appreciate this, or at least live with it. This from 17th century Welsh poet Henry Vaughan. "I saw eternity the other night, like a great ring of pure and endless light, all calm as it was bright. And round beneath it, time in hours, days, years, driven by the spheres like a vast shadow moved, in which the world and all her train were hurled." So many people have contemplated these questions. And this common contemplation brings us in from the apparent isolation of our own particular stories, our own lonely roads. We have the Greeks and the Welsh, for most of us in this congregation, our cultural forebears, to knit us back together. We are also on this land. Anne Salmond has written about Māori cosmology and how it clashes with the notion of the arrow of time. But if we look at this and think of Henry Vaughan and of Kairos, we may find a connection here too. Salmond quotes Patu Hohepa. Time is a moving continuum if seen through Māori language, with ego being a particle whose own volition and direction is not bound to time. Time swirls like koru patterns, three-dimensional spirals. So, though we experience time's arrow, we also grow and connect spiritually through Kairos and through the ring of pure and endless light and the swirling koru. How do you experience time? What do you experience out of time? Last week, Kate quoted Carl Sagan, and here I quote his widow, Anne Drian, on her experience of Kairos. When my husband died, because he was so famous and known for not being a believer, many people would come up to me, still happens sometimes, and ask me if Carl changed at the end and converted to a belief in an afterlife. They also frequently ask me if I think that I will see him again. Carl faced his death with unflagging courage and never sought refuge in illusions. The tragedy was that we knew we would never see each other again. I don't ever expect to be reunited with Carl. But the great thing is that when we were together, we lived with a vivid appreciation of how brief and precious life is. We never trivialized the meaning of death by pretending it was anything other than a final parting. Every single moment that we were alive and we were together was miraculous. Not miraculous in the sense of inexplicable or supernatural. We knew we were beneficiaries of chance, that pure chance could be so generous and so kind, that we could find each other, as Carl wrote so beautifully in Cosmos, in the vastness of space and the immensity of time, that we could be together for that time. That is something which sustains me, and it's much more meaningful. The way he treated me and the way I treated him, the way we took care of each other while he lived. That is so much more important than the idea I will see him someday. I don't think I'll ever see Carl again, but I saw him. We saw each other. We found each other in the cosmos, and that was wonderful. Amen. Please take a moment to close your eyes and breathe. For my closing words, I will read a poem by Maya Angelou, which I've read in this church before, A Brave and Startling Truth. We, this people, on a small and lonely planet, travelling through casual space, past aloof stars, across the way of indifferent suns to a destination where all signs tell us it is possible and imperative that we learn a brave and startling truth. And when we come to it, the day of peacemaking, when we release our fingers from fists of hostility, when we come to it, when the curtain falls on the minstrel show of hate, and faces sooted with scorn are washed clean, when battlefields and Colosseum no longer rake our unique and particular sons and daughters up with the bruised and bloody grass to lay them in identical plots in foreign soil. When the rapacious storming of the churches, the screaming racket in the temple have ceased. When the pennants are waving gaily, when the banners of the world tremble stoutly in a good, clean breeze. When we come to it, when we let the rifles fall from our shoulders and our children can dress their dolls in flags of truce, when landmines of death have been removed and the aged can walk into evenings of peace, when religious ritual is not perfumed by the incense of burning flesh and childhood dreams are not kicked awake by nightmares of sexual abuse. When we come to it, then we will confess that not the pyramids, with their stones set in mysterious perfection, nor the gardens of Babylon, hanging as eternal beauty in our collective memory, not the Grand Canyon, kindled into delicious colour by western sunsets, nor the Danube, flowing its blue soul into Europe, not the sacred peak of Mount Fuji stretching to the rising sun, neither Father Amazon nor Mother Mississippi, who, without favour, nurture all creatures in their depths and on their shores. These are not the only wonders of the world. When we come to it, we, this people, on this minuscule globe, who reach daily for the bomb, the blade, and the dagger, yet who petition in the dark for tokens of peace. We, this people, on this mote of matter, in whose mouths abide cankerous words which challenge our very existence. Yet out of those same mouths can come songs of such exquisite sweetness that the heart falters in its labour and the body is quieted into awe. We, this people, on this small and drifting planet, whose hands can strike with such abandon that in a twinkling life is sapped from the living. Yet those same hands can touch with such healing, irresistible tenderness that the haughty neck is happy to bow and the proud back is glad to bend. Out of such chaos, of such contradiction, we learn that we are neither devils nor divines. When we come to it, we, this people, on this wayward floating body, created on this earth, of this earth, have the power to fashion for this earth a climate where every man and every woman can live freely, without sanctimonious piety, without crippling fear. When we come to it, we must confess that we are the possible, we are the miraculous, we are the true wonder of this world. That is when, and only when, we come to it. I invite you now, Paul will extinguish the flame for us, and I invite you to say the words with me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. In a moment, we will hear Frank play our Postlude, which is Luigi's Mansion, arranged by Kazuhiro Taka. It's a light Halloween celebration for kids. And after that, I invite the people in the church to form groups of no more than 6, and I will put the Zoom participants in breakout for a discussion. And the question is, how do you experience time, and what do you experience out of time? So Zoom group, please stay as long as you wish and finish as you wish. And I'll ring the bell in the church after 10 minutes for morning tea.